Alright, hello, my name is Sephar, and I will be talking about the effectiveness of the jail system. It is inherently thought in today's society that the only solution is jail time for crime. And my claim today is that alternative methods are more effective in dealing with crime than jail. Here, alternative methods will be defined as probation, community service, digital monitoring, and other human methods not listed here. I will go over two main points to prove this. The first one being that jail time is not economical, and the second being that inmates cannot rehabilitate effectively into society once out. Now, the first point, that jails are not economical methods, is supported by the fact that it takes more money to feed and house inmates than it does to put someone on through an alternative method. In the fiscal year of 2010, among 40 states in the US spent over $39 billion on prisons. Instead of creating a debt, offenders should pay back society through alternative punishments like unpaid social work. An example of this can be taken from a local newspaper article. Pima County Attorney's Office says its drug treatment alternative to prison program has saved more than $1 million in the first 30 months of operation. This shows how wasteful custodial sentencing can be. In a more direct comparison, the article later states, a report from Maimon Research LLC said the county spent an average of about $10,000 to rehabilitate an individual who succeeds in the program, compared to more than $40,000 if that same individual had been incarcerated for the average sentence of 2.5 years. Now, this clearly shows that other programs are much more economical in dealing with criminals, and over a short span of time as well. In many alternative methods, the participants are also given back to society through community work and not being an expense to society. Now, the second point, that jails do not rehabilitate offenders, can be broken down in two main reasons. Now, these factors are, for one, that jails create repeated offenders and also cause lasting damaging effects on inmates. Many of the professionals with the criminal justice field see the flaws in the custodial sentencing. Jose Luis de la Cuesta Arzamendi, a professor of penal law at the University of Basque County in Spain, and the Deputy Secretary General of the International Association of Penal Law in his work, Alternative to Jail, says, deprivation of freedom was institutionalized in the European judicial system during the late 18th century, and it was intended as a more rational and humane response to criminal acts than the punishment that had previously been meted out. But its framework of application, prisons, soon proved incapable of solving the individual and social conflicts that crime brings about or reveals. The drastic difference between life inside and outside of jail causes lasting damage. This difference is described by Jose. Security requirements are so pressing in overcrowded prisons that the authorities do little to create effective rehabilitation and social reintegration programs. Add drug abuse in prison and its associated problems, AIDS being the most serious, and the control of prison gangs over inmates, and the picture looks grim indeed. Now, when someone is released from such an environment into society, they are faced with psychological challenges. They are no longer told every day what to do and have to deal with normalcy. In a Harvard Magazine article by Elizabeth Godres about the account of Bruce Western, a sociology professor and faculty chair of Harvard Kennedy Program in Criminal Justice Policy and Management, it states, the outside world brings on onslaught of stimulation, the sudden need to make dozens of small decisions each day when before the prisoners were expected to do as they were told. Adaptive behavior in prison is maladaptive behavior outside. Now, this creates an already bad start for them and makes it worse. Jail creates an environment where criminals learn better ways to commit crime instead of paying back society. An article by John DeWar Gleisner, graduate of Vanderbilt University of Law and one who has practiced law for the past 33 years, says, prisoners come out of prison in worse shape after years of bullying, violence, and isolation. In an attempt to deal with the crime committed, a jail sentence will only produce someone who is likely to resort to the same ways. Within alternative methods, the risk of repeat offenders are drastically decreased because the chaotic environment and the other problems with jail are cut out. The offender is directly involved with an active role in some area of society. Now, we've seen that jail takes more resources, money, and does not ensure success in defeating crime. So in conclusion, alternative methods are more effective at dealing with crime than jail because they are more economical and reduce the chances of repeat offenders, correctly rehabilitating those put through the system. Thank you.
You want to refutation isn't about saying that he's wrong or anything like that. It's about saying that like the points are something different. So even if that's what you want to do, that's not what it is.
Yeah, I want to refute someone in this room too, but I got another one. So.
Right. You might even agree. Yeah.
Sorry, buddy. Sorry, buddy.
Okay. Well, first of all, the proposition is very clearly identified and it's phrased as a claim of fact, so you get good points there. The contents of the speech are previewed and they are labeled as Gesundheit. They are labeled as claims as well, so I appreciated that. You have some definitional issues. I think you could be a little bit more particular about what kinds of crimes alternatives would be appropriate for. I'm not exactly sure that some of the things that you talked about would be appropriate punishments for certain kinds of crimes, and I think that that would be an issue that a lot of, yes, we want community rehabilitation for murderers and sex offenders and that kind of stuff. I think there are a lot of people who go, wait, that's not what we're talking about.
Yeah.
So being a little bit more particular there would have probably defined it more effectively for us. It's well organized. In the body of the speech, you had the second, you only had the 2 points, but the second point had some subdivision to it that you explained pretty clearly, so it didn't get too complicated. The evidence, I thought that you were very clear about citing the sources of your information, giving us qualifications for those people. There's a lot of testimony evidence in the presentation. There's a little bit of statistical information on the cost issue. So the first point, that's where most of your statistics are. I think we could probably use some statistical information, for instance, comparing the effectiveness of, like you said, reducing recidivism or creating rehabilitation from those alternatives. So for instance, the likelihood of somebody returning to prison who's gone through one of these alternative programs is 1 in 10, whereas if they went through prison, their likelihood of returning is 1 in 5. Well, that makes an easy comparison. We could see that the alternative is more effective. If there was some data like that, that would, I think, strengthen that particular point. But as it was, I thought you did a very good job citing all those things. The main problem that I have with the presentation is the reading. You're presenting it like it's an essay that you wrote for a class, and I'm just telling you, I'm just reading my essay out loud, and you need to talk to us a little bit more and make it more of a presentation. And eye contact is a big part of that. I didn't get the feeling that it was, that it's not something organic, but it does feel a little bit like it's mechanical, and all you need to do is kind of talk to us a little bit about those kinds of things, and your ideas will come across a lot more effectively. It creates an ethos or credibility for you that will enhance the argument, I think. All right, thank you.